Where does one start? Where does one start when they're trying to write their mother's eulogy? Perhaps, in this case, the best place to start is by saying a loving, warm, "Hey Mom, hi," and embrace her, because the one gathering that I know that my mother would never miss is her own memorial service. So in spirit, Mom, I know you are here. You're at peace, seeing us all cry and laugh, and remembering in you a lifelong friend, an involved and compassionate auntie, a strong and devoted mother, and a charismatic yet over-the-top caring Nana. And I know what you're gonna say, Mom. Paula, why in God's name couldn't you have changed out of your pajamas for this? And to that, I will just say that's the beauty of live stream, Mom. That's the beauty of live streaming. My mom was born April 7th, 1941 in Winnipeg to Stanley Hendricks, a hotel manager, and to Pauline Nee Joss, who was a baker and a homemaker. Her older sister, Patricia Annette, was born 3 years prior. Her mother, Pauline, named my mom after Shirley Temple, and my mom never ever saw the connection. She'd say, "I'm not blonde, I can't sing, can't tap dance. The only similarity between me, Shirley, and Shirley Temple is that we were both pudgy as children." My mom's family found it difficult to make ends meet most of the time, and my grandfather worked long, hard hours and struggled with his own battles. My Nana worked tirelessly, raising 2 girls and instilling in them a sense of worth and a sense of priority towards family. My mom led a hard childhood, often talking about sneaking the butter jar under her bed just to escape the outside world. Out of her childhood pain, though, often arose her inner perseverance, her strong determination, and often stubborn approach to life. Whenever I hear the rapper Lauryn Hill say this quote, I'm always reminded of my mother. That strong mother doesn't tell her cub, "Son, stay weak so the wolves can get you." She says, "Toughen up. This is reality we are living in." I'm always reminded of my mother when I hear Lauren say that. She lived between both survival mode and a very loving, caring home. The bond between my Nana, my mother, and my Auntie Pat was so strong, and they always looked after each other. But my mom also found her voice. She found a way of setting herself apart and navigating in this world. She would often tell her family, "I may live in a Ukrainian house, but I am an Englishman." Mom would listen to her relatives speak in the Ukrainian language, but answer only in English. She dove into English culture, learning how to bake biscuits, scones, make jelly, drink tea, and she thought herself as a reincarnated member of English royalty, and would always leave a small morsel of food on her plate, as tradition would have. Out of Mom's childhood also rose a part of her personality, her side of humor and quick wit. And I always refer to it as her vivacious spirit. She told me that while studying at St. Mary's Academy, she was the one to give the Grey Nuns an education in the art of hiking up uniform skirts, skipping class, and smoking cigarettes behind the campus. Life changed for my mom, though, when she met my dad. Bob Danilchuk, and his friend Julian Tratch walked into the Quality Grill one winter's day. My dad stood at the counter combing his thick hair, and he caught a glimpse of a fine-looking girl. My mom and her long-time friend Lucy were sitting at the booth when my dad started to wink at her. My mom always recounted this meeting with puzzlement. "Doesn't Bob recognize me?" she asked Lucy. Why is he winking at me?" You see, my mom and dad met 1 year prior at her brother-in-law's sister's wedding to my dad's brother. Try saying that twice. Despite that, Mom said she fell harder and harder for this man with each wink that he gave her. Of their dating, my mom always found joy in telling stories of them playing cards and the game Aggravation with Julian and Betty Tratch on those cold Winnipeg winter nights. And in the summer, they'd go camping to Patricia Beach with her cousin Pat and then girlfriend, now wife, Carol. One night, after a few bottles of beer, the girls panicked. They desperately had to go to the bathroom, but the road was covered with frogs. My mom jumped on my dad's back and challenged Carol to do the same with Pat. And the four of them had piggyback races to and from the campground bathroom, dodging jumping frogs the whole way. Then on June 26th, 1965, my mom said to my dad, "I do." They remained married until his death in 2013 and remained ever faithful and devoted to him. Both my parents approached life with humor, but didn't always agree on each other's wit. As with the times, my dad then assumed that driving should be left to the man of the house. Mom vented to her dear friend Linda one summer's day about the frustrations of running a household without the ability to drive a car. And Linda immediately stood up, took my mom for her first driver's lesson, leaving my dad at home stunned. Mom always was grateful for Linda's encouragement, and she was proud of herself, her independent drive, if you like. Speaking of which, one day my mom called Lucy and told her that she had had a disagreement with my dad and that she was driving over to her house. When Mom got close to the border, she pulled over to a payphone, called Lucy and said, "I guess I better turn around. You live in New York City and I don't even have a passport." And they still would laugh over that story. Then there was the day on March 17th in 1969 that my mom heard the words, "Congratulations, your daughter has just been born." After years of trying to have children, my parents turned to adoption, me. Then 21 months later, my brother Brad was naturally born to them. As a mom, my mom was playful, fun, and funny, yet continuously reminded us that when your mother is happy, everybody's happy. She spent hours in the park with her childhood chums on Yale Avenue as us children would run around and play, and she was always the social Shirley. Mom never missed any of Brad's hockey games, albeit freezing and outdoors at 6 a.m. Her sports passion, though, was to watch him play and progress through the little leagues. She would even go frequent, actually, his softball games later in life. She loved to watch Brad practice his breakdancing moves and would try to bust a move herself when Sexomatic by the Bacchés was played on the vinyl LP in the rec room. Then, as Brad would practice for a weekend night dancing at the Oak, Mom would be right behind him trying to copy his line dancing moves. Mom also loved to bake. Friends loved her cakes with the 7-minute frosting on it, and her pies were always baked to perfection. Lemon meringue, blueberry, rhubarb pies were often adorned the dinner table. But oatmeal chocolate chip cookies were her signature, and Brad was usually at her side, measuring, mixing, and eating the cookie dough. His style of baking was learned from her. She would not shy away from giving her opinion. She was stubborn without reason. She rarely apologized, and never could she resist, "I told you so." Yet she would stay up all night for weeks sewing dance costumes for my cousin Kathy and me, then go to work the next day, come home, and get right back on that sewing machine. She'd use her old New Year's Eve gowns to sew my Barbie doll clothes in the latest styles and clothes that Alexandria's dolls still dress in. When running races around the track, it was her voice that I heard cheer me on the loudest. "Run, Paula, run." And she waited up all night to ensure that I came home safely, then spent hours talking to me about my night. She would tell me as a child to look both ways before I crossed the street and to not talk to strangers. But then later she added, unless that stranger is tall, dark, and handsome with a lot of greenbacks. But I must admit the expression to be true. Mothers and daughters are closest when daughters become mothers. Mom cherished every moment with her 3 grandchildren. Declan remembers going to the Morris Stampede every year with her. She would challenge him to stay on the mechanical bull just a little bit longer, and took great pleasure in watching him. Braden remembers how proud Mom was of his soccer playing and hockey goaltending, and she would always have a Hershey's Kiss in her purse just so that he would come over and find it. Alexandria remembers playing pickup sticks with her Nana. She and Nana loved having lunch together at A&W. And then there was the surprise Jell-O pudding for snack. Each night before we went to bed as children, and even as adults, if we were talking to her late at night, she used to say to Brad and I, "May Boju and his angels watch over and protect you." And now it's my turn. May God guide you to an afterlife of eternal peace and tranquility. I will miss our nightly phone conversations here on earth, but I know you are so happy now. You're with Nana, Auntie Pat, and with Dad. Mom, I know who I am because of you. The strong and the soft in me is a mirror of who you were. So now it's time to say to you, Mom, may Boju and his angels watch over and eternally protect you. We love you.